Alright, ladies and gentlemen, how's everyone doing tonight? It's Tuesday, July 21st, 2020. Welcome to another metallic episode of Music of Destruction, right here on YouTube, bringing you the best in metal-related content. And if you missed anything in the past 7 days, click the I in the upper right corner of the screen right now. Get caught up on all of my latest content. I would really appreciate that. Welcome to Album Review Tuesdays here on the channel, and I hope you guys have enjoyed all of the various content thus far, and I certainly have enjoyed making it for you guys. Alright, so tonight's review is of a one-man black metal project from South Adelaide, Australia with Entsetzlich-Eternal Funeral Cries. Now I have both the CD and cassette versions of this full length. The CD version of Eternal Funeral Cries was released in 2014 on Death Cult Records, and the cassette version was released in December of 2013 on Wolsfvuur Records. Now this one is a pretty rare find, however you might be able to find it on CD. I don't know if there's any cassette versions of it out there. You might be able to find it. I jumped on it as soon as it was released, which is why I was lucky enough to procure a t-shirt with it and the CD. The cassette version, or was it the cassette version? One of the two, I got the shirt with it, which was really fucking cool. I love these shirts. I have two Entsetzlich shirts, actually. Now, Entsetzlich was formed in 2005 and has had two lineup changes since formation, with Azathoth being the band's sole member, and Omen was originally his session guitarist for a few of his demos. He then went completely solo for a while before recruiting new session guitarist Osculum, who I believe is now a permanent part of the band. However, I don't know for sure. Details on that are very scarce at this point, so maybe he's a session member, maybe he's a full member of Entsetzlich. Seems like that he is, because he's usually hanging out with Azathoth whenever they're making music, or I'm assuming they're friends in real life as well. Now, Eternal Funeral Cries is also Azathoth's first full-length album, and I gotta say, for a debut full-length, this is an astounding piece of dark art, make no fucking mistake about it. Now, the album opens with the deeply dark and disturbing ambient track, Contemplating the End of Life. And the atmosphere this one paints is complete blackness and nothingness with no semblance of life or existence whatsoever. And to me, this is what the sound of nothingness and pure blackness would be if one could actually hear and conceptualize it. And it sets the tone for the black void that this album is about to take you on. Very excellent opener and a great way to open the album. Next up, we have Mesmerized by the Infinite Void, which opens with one of the most chilling, bone-chilling riffs I've ever heard in my entire life. And it instantly gets under your skin and freezes you from the inside out. Lifeless, guitar-driven, hypnotic dissonance with simple, primitive drumming and absolutely zero emphasis on technicality or concern for a pleasing listening experience. And this is exactly what makes underground black metal what it is. And the emotions here are cold, desolate, and black, with chambers of dimly lit corridors that breathe suicidal misanthropy and despair with every passing fucking moment. Now, one thing I will note here is that if you do not like your metal raw, then you will not appreciate this type of music whatsoever. And that's the entire point, isn't it? The goal of art like this, in my opinion, is not to create notoriety or gain a fan base. It's pure raw expressionism for anyone who truly wants the darkest musical experiences possible within the framework of black metal, period. Amazing fucking track. Next up, we have Condemned to Failure, and we are going to listen to this track later in the review because this is my favorite on the album. And it continues to unfold the album's suicidal propaganda and ice-cold atmosphere of hopelessness and desolation. And the way the riffing and drumming are crafted here spews forth like a black cloud of destruction that rips all life from your body constantly, as this album batters your mental state and emotions without any fucking mercy or regard for the audience whatsoever. Now, the album emphasizes simple, primitive song structures and hypnotic spells of guitar-driven dissonance that will pull you right into Azathoth's dark realm of consciousness as he constructs the album from top to bottom. But I mean, honestly, what the fuck do you expect from artists like Entsetzlich? Amazing track here as well. One thing I'm also going to talk about here is Azathoth's vocals. And at first they may seem cheesy or ridiculous to the average listener, but I mean, good lord, why would an average listener even fucking go near something like this is beyond me. but his croaks and shrieks are crafted with such an emphasis on fragility and lifelessness that I would hardly call them vocals at all. Instead, they are more like a sound coming from behind the void of shrill blackness that almost resembles a voice, if you will, and it fits the fucking music absolutely perfectly because it's fucking inhuman. Next up, we have the absolute cold still masterpiece, The Cold Wind Rages Through the Dying Forest. And this one is a depressive masterpiece of blistering coldness, isolation, despondency, and dark brilliance. And this composition is an intense, agonizing 7 minutes and 42 seconds of pure black metal bliss. And yes, it's agonizing in the good sense of the word. And it's spellbinding in its hypnotic atmosphere, delivery, emotional depth, and complexity. And Azathoth's vocals on this track are full of desperation and cathartic release, and you can literally feel that throughout this track as his pain spews forth into your mind and your soul. And the hatred on this track sends pins and needles running throughout your body, and it's beyond beautiful and authentic stuff, as is this entire fucking album. Brilliant, killer black metal track here as well. Next up, we have On the Path Towards Funeral Gates, and this one has a really incredible primal feel to it that reminds me of early Darkthrone, but even more stripped back, with its extremely stripped back approach and intensity. And there isn't really any kind of direction to this music, but it instead employs ritualistic, oft-time structuring and compositional choices. Yet this track does have some structuring, as it's definitely the fastest song on the entire disc and has a much more straight-up black metal approach than the rest of the album's strong emphasis on black ambience mixed with metal. Yet this overall change of pace does not hurt the album's experience and take anything away from its misanthropic glory and suicidal fixation and ideology whatsoever, so don't worry about that. Killer fucking song here as well. Next up, we have From Hateful Visions, and this one is an ice-cold journey of pure misanthropic despair and has some of the most thin guitar riffs and cold riffing I've ever heard on a black metal track. And this one's kind of back to that depressing, isolated atmosphere of previous tracks, but also has some of those Darkthrone elements from the previous tracks as well. Now, this combination of ideas and compositional song structuring make for an incredible cold black metal attack on all of your fucking senses. This is an amazing track as well. So without further ado, let's check out Condemned to Failure right here on Music of Destruction. Enjoy! And we are back. And next up, we have the long lost and forgotten Kirsty Abyss Part 1. And I never even knew if we'd ever get to hear Part 1, because on his demo, Kirsty Abyss, which I'll be doing a review for in the future as well, we get Part 2. Well, if you thought Part 2 was raw and uncompromising, just wait until you hear Part 1. Now, this is what it sounds like to me. It's as if this black metal is being played from so deep underground that it's echoing throughout the walls of a cave or a deep underground tunnel buried 400 feet beneath your feet. And the recording was done with the recorder kind of sitting right next to the entrance. That's what it sounds like. Because it feels so cacophonic and ritualistic that it defies all reason and rationale in any sense of the fucking word. And this track is a hard one to describe, and you're just gonna have to hear it and experience it for yourself. This is one of the blackest, darkest fucking songs in existence, ladies and gentlemen, and it's absolutely incredible. Closing out this black monster of despair and hate is Desolate and Forsaken Night, and well, that's exactly what it sounds like. Cold as ice, uncompromising, and seething with deep misanthropy and disgust for the human race, and it's entirely guitar-driven coldness, and it's fucking absolutely brilliant. And I'm going to reiterate this one more time. If you do not understand or enjoy this kind of metal, then stay far away from Entsetzlich, because this is the furthest thing from an enjoyable listening experience as you could fucking get. Pure audio torture and despair captured on tapes for freak like myself. And I was searching for music like this since I started on my journey in underground black metal, and I absolutely love it. And if you don't understand why music like this is made, then it's not going to be for you. So that's simple as that. The final verdict for Eternal Funeral Cries from Entsetzlich is getting a legendary 10 out of 10. Pure blackness and audio despair. Pick it up if you're a fan of this kind of art. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe, turn on the bell so you don't miss anything. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Music of Destruction. Join the Facebook group for all things metal, facebook.com/groups/Music of Destruction. The Seed, episode number 24, The History of Dio, Part 3, is going to be completed tomorrow and will be up on Patreon for you awesome supporters. You can get access to all these for just $5 a month. Go to patreon.com/Music of Destruction. For $1 a month, I'll review an album of your choosing. Leave it in the comments after you become a patron, and I will consider reviewing it. If it's slam or deathcore, I likely won't review it, so please don't choose anything from those genres. Colton James and myself are starting a brand new YouTube channel here in the coming months. Reviews on the Run, consisting of movie and game reviews, our top 15s in all areas of film and gaming, as well as some funny, cool, behind-the-scenes reenactments of some of our favorite moments in film. So let's check out a clip of what you can expect.
I can't think of a thing to say. Fuck it.
You're a fucking natural!
And we are back. Shoutouts to Shadows of Death Records, King of Swords, Metal Bends Chronicles, Acid Metal, and Backwards Metal. I want to thank you guys very much for watching. Have yourselves a great night. Stay fucking metal. We will see you for Album Ranking Wednesdays. Cheers, everyone.